Namaskar, I am Professor Dr. Meena Jhala, Dean of Apex University, the School of. Today, it's my privilege to talk on two very important aspects of design education. The one important thing is creativity. So, how do we take creativity into the design education? It is said that we are born with creativity, but with the school format, formal education, and the things that children are learning in a very formative way, somewhere down the line, the creativity is, I won't say going away, but it becomes one has to crave for creativity. So it says that creativity does not come naturally. You need the skills for creativity in design that can be developed. But it is very essential for the design teachers to create a very good environment in the classroom where they are teaching design, so that the students get stimulated for the creative design skills. Now, if we talk from the sense about creativity's definitions and what, say, Albert Einstein emphasizes, that the creative and generative nature of design. So he says that the scientists investigate what already is. Engineers create that which has never been. So creativity is always about something that is not yet there. It is about the future. So when you talk about future, we do not know what the need of the future is going to be. So creativity is the ability to produce work that is both novel, that is original, unexpected, and it is appropriate. By appropriate, I mean that it is useful and relevant for the time and for the people's need. Creativity is characterized by Robinson as being at the heart of what it is to be human. He also emphasizes the need for finding and developing one's own passion, because creativity comes out of a strong feeling of passion for doing anything. Now, what happens with the students is they are not aware of their passion. So, while they are doing something, they learn to use their imagination and make their ideas come in the real life. They start to understand their own importance. When they come out with a very good design, they are able to encompass their ideas and form it into a product. They feel important about it. They discover their uniqueness. They learn to express themselves and will discover that their contributions are needed in the society. So they want to do new variety of things. Now, as per today, if you go with the technology being advanced, creativity has got a link with the technology. When we talk about design, technology, it has a dual nature. On the one hand, technology is about the materials that are used to create a design, that is pins, nuts, fabrics, yarns, hardware and tangible products. On the other hand, technology is about serving people and making life better. So this makes designing a very meaningful activity, isn't it? And when you are using this design meaningful activity, you see that the people are socially getting connected, involved into the things, and they participate. And at the end, of course, this brings hope and change. So when you are designing anything in life, each design process is unique. They say that all designers, students need to develop their own style and approach. By their style and approach, I mean that every student's or a designer's thinking is different from one another. So whatever is appropriate for your ideas to generate and productively employ, that is your style and that is the approach. It is important to remember that the design process is neither linear nor cyclic in real life. It is iterative. By that I mean that the students and designers move backwards, forwards throughout the process while they are designing. Because what they are doing, they are changing their ideas, evaluating as they are going along with their work. So, it means that any rigid application of design cycle or a model is going to hamper creativity. Even when the students are working in the class and they are working on a design assignment, you give them some kind of guidance while the design process is in progress, it would lead to an enhanced creativity and skill development. So they will employ more of their energy, they will see that, oh, this can be done in this way also, in that other way also, and thus they would change their ideas and make the ideas fall into a better shape. So through the design and technology, what I have seen while teaching to my students is that they learn to develop new original solutions to design. It is very important for a dean, like I'm talking about myself, that when I was planning the design pedagogy, I had been very careful in following the strategies that will follow in the use and planning of creativity and design technology projects. So the strategies, like first, if I want to name it, get the students started. Get them started into getting involved into the design activities and using different materials, experimenting, experiencing, while they are doing something, and they come up with a new way of handling that materials. So let that happen. Let the students get started. And the next three strategies, of course, will be to help them stimulate the flow of imagination, give them some guidance, show them some design process, give them, purposeful elaboration on what they are doing, and then, they will learn to test their ideas. And finally, when they have done a particular project or a design product, finally the point is that the assessment comes, wherein it could be learning can be applied. In the sense, what I mean by learning can be applied is give them a submissive feedback, and the students should get also the peer group analysis. So the product is kept and everybody is giving their views and their ideas on it, and this, of course, will help not only the student who has done the product but also the class to develop their design ideas and learn about the quality in design. And it will also develop their creative design skills in a very conscious way. And it has been noted very well that evidence shows that the creative experience only comes after considerable effort and time has been put into the practice, so that it helps them, the students, to generate ideas at their own will and in a short time. So they should be given assignments which are time bound. So they learn that within this particular time, I have to do my design thinking, I have to do my design process, I have to select my materials, I have to do my processing, I have to do the work, I have to make the product, and then at the given time, I have to submit my product. So this is helping them become consciously a designer. Because designer's job requires the highest level of creative processing, and they have practiced thinking creatively for a purpose, because it is an applied arts section we are talking about. And when a designer is doing any product or any garment for the client, they cannot charge their clients for their thinking time. Okay, so that means they have to think faster. Now, I would also like to mention that Donald McKinnon says, people have considerable cognitive flexibility. They communicate easily. They are intellectually curious and tend to let their impulses flow freely. So he talks about basically three creativities, that is artistic creativity, scientific and technological creativity, and hybrid creativity. At Apex School of Fashion and Design, what I have started, the first thing that I started with my students, the first task that was given to them, and especially this was for the creativity, was you see things clearly. So we took the students out into the market, we took them to a museum, we took them to Jaipur being a, the heritage city, we took them to see the architecture and just see it clearly. After a while, when they have seen, we talked with them and we asked, what did you see? So naturally, certain things about design, the elements and principles of design, or looking deeper into the vision, we told them, did you see this? Did you see that? Again, we sent them to see, and they saw all that and they came back to the college. Now, after that, the second point which I made my students do was think things clearly. Most of the time we have assumptions for things and we do not think clearly. So you leave all those assumptions aside, and what are you thinking clearly on a particular product, on a particular garment, whatever design thing you want to think about, but think clearly. Now for this, what are the things that has to be inculcated in the students to come to this point of clear thinking and clear seeing things? It is the observation power. So when you are observing things, identify the things. See the things in a different perspective. See what works. So that will help you generate ideas. Once the idea generation takes place, think about and go for the knowledge for that particular product. See the trends, see the colors, see the silhouettes people are using. If it is a fashion thing you are talking about, if it is interiors, then go visit places, see what interior design is there, what colors are used, what things are used to decorate, and then come up with a pattern and think on those lines. Then comes very important is the curiosity. It is the questioning mind. So you have to have the desire to explore more things willingly, and you should have the willingness to learn more. There has to be a social curiosity and intellectual curiosity both, because it helps in recognizing the ideas that you are coming up with. So when you start the project, you always start with a beginner's mind. Leave away the assumptions, leave away what people have said, what others have done, leaving everything with a blank slate, start as a beginner. It is very important that what you have learned is more important than what you know. Then of course, as the students go into the higher classes, what we make the students do is have a people skills. That is, real innovation comes from deep contact with and empathy with real customers, so that you know the customer's choice, their liking, what is comfortable to them, what are their needs, how much they can spend from their pocket. So all these things are very important to know as people skills. The last but the very important thing is the analogy. So the more knowledge a designer gathers, or a student who is in a designing field gathers, the more they can fit ideas, because they are full of ideas. And with the creativity topic, I would just like to say that end with a little note that Tom Kelly calls designers as a T-shaped people with a deeper knowledge in one field and sufficient knowledge in many fields. So, for this creativity, because it is a process which is not like a day's process, or within a month you can make somebody creative. it is very important that when you are making the curriculum, you have your subjects, the courses framed in such a way, like, have with the students communication skills, have with the students design concepts and compositions. You should have material explorations done by the students so that they experience the soft, the linear, the hard materials, and how to process them. They know the limitations of the material, hence they can take the right decisions. And then of course there has to be a strong study of how they are drawing, how their ideas they are portraying on the paper, how they are learning the color. Color is a very important element in design. So the color coordination, the color combinations, and these are very important things that has to go like rightly into their frame of mind. They have to learn. They don't have to mug up, but they learn and they see and they analyze and they employ what they are learning into their process. So this is something where the creative part is taken care in my curriculum of B.Des fashion design and B.Des interior design. Now when I'm talking about the second most important aspect is aesthetics. When anybody is asked about aesthetics, they just have two answers. It's like two ends of a pole. It is beautiful, it is ugly. Do you think everything that you see around falls into just two categories like this? I would not agree. So, I would just like to mention that aesthetics is a branch of basically philosophy that deals with the nature of beauty and taste. So there is beauty as well as the taste a person develops for themselves, as well as it is a philosophy of art. When you are talking about the philosophy of art, you have to go like the history, the present, and the future to be. So it is like a very vast topic when you are talking about the art, which here in my curriculum I follow into the cultural studies. So in the cultural studies, in the first semester rather, we go with the Asian continent, and we have more of the Eastern countries' cultures that the students are learning about the architecture, about their culture, about their civilization, about their artifacts, what kind of clothing they were wearing, what kind of textiles were available. So there are different topics in which the students may go deeper into and learn about. So it is where the aesthetics basically in a very unconscious way has started through history. Then as we go further, it covers both natural and artificial sources of aesthetic experience and judgment. So when there is a concern about, experience in design, it always ends up with a judgment, right? So when we are talking about the judgment, we are not just analyzing into the two poles of beautiful and ugly, but we are looking at what happens to our mind when we see something very nice. There are some kind of feelings that are developing. When you eat a very nice, delicious dish, then you have your taste buds giving you that, wow, so nice. If you hear very good music, and it is like, very soothing, it really, your emotions and you yourself go into that cool, content mood. If you see, if you hear a music, supposing, that is a retro music, immediately you get that energy and you want to get up and dance with it and all. So this is something which I call it as a judgment. That particular piece of music has impacted you in that way. Okay, it could be a movie, an actor who has acted so well and played the character so well that you start crying for that character. So doesn't that mean that your senses have been touched by it? So this is something where aesthetics is an intangible property which is there and which evolves when you are seeing this kind of things. Okay. Now when we say that it considers what happens in your minds when we engage with aesthetic objects or environments, such as in viewing visual arts, listening to music, reading poetry, experiencing a play, exploring nature, and so on and so forth. The philosophy of art specially studies how artists imagine. So when you see something, you imagine how did this artist imagine this particular frame of work? Then how did they create? So then you are seeing and understanding, trying to understand the process in which the creation took place. And if it is something, art, which it could be a performing art, then how did they perform? You go into that sequence of the performance. So, you see people use this kind of aesthetics that you are getting in different objects around, or you enjoy. Okay, so you can use, you can enjoy, or you can criticize their work. So it is like your own response to the form of art. Scholars in the field have defined aesthetics as critical reflection on art, culture and nature. Aesthetics encompasses both questions around beauty as well as questions about art. So if you see something beautiful, there are questions that are arising around that, why it is beautiful. So the aestheticians have given different principles which denote that, okay, because of this particular element of design having been used in this particular pattern, that is why the product or the thing has got the beauty. So this is the way, like it is like a mathematical solution. It's a very technical, but one has to understand with all the senses and has to have that aesthetic ability. Aesthetics encompasses both questions around beauty as well as questions, as I told. It examines topics such as aesthetic objects, aesthetic experience and aesthetic judgments. So aesthetic judgment, now when we talk about, it refers to the sensory contemplation or appreciation of an object, while artistic judgment refers to the recognition, appreciation or criticism of art or any artwork. Now, but for the students here in my college, what I am taking aesthetics as a topic and as considered into our design pedagogy is that the aesthetics has got core design principle with it. Okay, now this principles defines the design's pleasing qualities. So when you are designing, you always want to give a pleasing sensation to the person who is viewing it or the person who is using it, right? So in this particular kind of qualities which are helping you get this, the students have to learn these principles, because that is what they are going to use it into their career, into the further education that they are going to do in design. Now, what is it that is there? Balance. Has your design got a balance? Whether it is a formal or an informal balance? Are you properly knowing color? The most important element. The three dimensions of colors, the color schemes, the color combinations, the values that you are using in colors, right? How you are, going with the saturation of color, and then, creating a particular impact that you are desiring. And of course, the color theories and color ways and Pantone shade cards, referring them and coming with the right color combination for whatever kind of effect you want in the product. Movement, pattern, the shapes and forms used in the right way, you do the permutation and combination with the shapes and forms, and then you decide which is the right one for the right particular aspect. And of course, whatever is being designed has to have a visual weight. So this of course goes on with the exercises the students do and the learning happens. As we say that designers use aesthetics to complement their design's usability, and so they enhance the functional and the attractive aspects of their design. So when they are going to that level in the fourth year, and when they are doing products which are going to go with in the market and people are going to use it, this is going to be a very important phenomenon for them. Now, the last but not the least, people think design to be this, design to be that. I'll just put a last sentence saying that design is what? It is a method of putting form and content together. So there is on one side form, then there is content. How do you merge or how do you amalgamate them and put it together so that that design comes as an art, okay, and it gives a pleasing sensation to whoever is observing it. So there are many definitions of design. So design can be art, design can be aesthetics. Design is so simple, that's why it is so complicated. And when any curriculum is made, it is not that a good, strong, robust curriculum is going to make a designer. You have to have the assignments designed in such a way that whatever is your aim reflects into the learning outcome, and that is shown by the students' work in their assignments. The assignments should not just be given, A grade, B grade, or 8 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. No, it has to have summative as well as marks, whatever you're giving, but it has to have a summative affirmation to their work that is going to make their work go into the better way. Another very important thing is that the health of the subject has to be taken care of. So, what I do here is I have a course curriculum meetings wherein the CR, ACR of the class and the teachers are along there, and every month we evaluate, we plan big things, but are the big things reaching the students? Are they learning in an appropriate manner? That is what we are doing at Apex School of Fashion and Design for the bachelor's program in fashion design and bachelor's program in interior design. I also have a certificate course in fashion and styling. If you want to see my students' work, you can see the link into the same Apex Facebook page where I am giving my live webinar. So I would love that you all virtually see the works of my students and applaud them. Thank you.